make their head drop.
Third episode of Off the Mat with Donny Whitted. A special guest, and I'm so happy to have him in, Travis Clark. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for coming in. You know, I know you're a busy man. You got state coming up, you know, so your time is very valuable. Thank you for coming in on Off the Mat with Donny Whitted. All right, now, let's start here, Clark. What got you into the sport of wrestling? Not just wrestling, but I know you black belt jiu-jitsu. Did you start with jiu-jitsu, or was you a wrestler, got into jiu-jitsu? How did this all come about?
So basically, I grew up in Ohio, and I actually didn't start wrestling until 5th grade.
Okay.
You know, and back up there, you know, that's kind of late. You know,
Yeah.
but I mean, you know, they put me in basketball first. I got kicked out of every game. So they decided another route was probably best for me. And, you know, they threw me on the wrestling mats, small town, small community. And, you know, the coaches just took me and ran with it. And, you know, the jiu-jitsu didn't come about until I moved down here. So, so the jiu-jitsu is much later.
Much later,
yeah,
okay.
But no, I've been wrestling since 5th grade. And, you know, haven't
what
looked
part of
back.
Ohio? You said small town.
Yeah.
What part of Ohio?
So I'm from Northwest Ohio, the Findlay, Bowling Green area.
Okay.
So real small. I had 65 in my graduating class. So
That's small,
so yeah, we're definitely, you know, corn-fed, you know, country boys. So
Okay, definitely see that. So you started wrestling in fifth grade. What youth club did you start with? Right around in your area?
yeah, so the high school had just a small little club.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't nothing big. They just threw me in there. You know, 5th, 6th grade, I just kind of got my feet wet. 7th, 8th grade, you know, try to do the junior high scene. You know, and they'd actually move me up to the high school level then.
Oh, okay.
So I was practicing with the high school kids. I mean, there was still only about 20 kids on the team altogether, but. You know, did 7th, 8th grade, did all through high school, you know. Football was actually my calling.
Okay, right.
So that's the thing. Like, wrestling was something I did for fun, but, like, my whole direction originally was supposed to be for football.
Well, I can definitely see why. I mean, you're a pretty big guy. But so you wrestled. I mean, you first, like I said, you got it in football. I mean, using football, kind of using wrestling to help with that maybe.
Correct.
Okay, now, we done with high school. Played football. Did you go to college for football, or it went just directly for wrestling?
So originally, I was supposed to go for football. I ended up joining the Marine Corps. So I bypassed all my scholarships, bypassed everything. One day, my cousin had the recruiter at his house. I came out with a sandwich in my hand, and the recruiter shifted gears towards me. And next day, I was signing the contract to you know, go enlist.
Wow.
So, like, it was just spur of the moment. Really no plan, no intention, never even thought about the military till the day I signed.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so that turned into a interesting senior year of high school because that was October of my senior year. So we were in the middle of football season.
You're middle of football season. You
small
just say,
town, big football player because I ended up graduating as the top defensive lineman in the state of Ohio. So it was big news like that I was going to the Marine Corps and not going to play college football.
Well, kind of like the Pat Tillman situation, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, looking back now, I think I was burned out, you know, because I did so much athletics throughout the years. Like, you know, I played 44 varsity games in 4 years. Like, so, you know, like subconsciously, I think I was just burned out. I was like, all right, let's go do something else, you know. And
challenge yourself in a different direction.
And the Marine Corps was that, and it turned out to be the best decision I ever made.
Wow. So you're in the Marines. How long you were enlisted?
4 years. So I got to boot camp, what was it? 5 days before 9/11 happened. So we were actually in processing when the towers got hit, and, you know, so we really didn't know what was going on for a few weeks because we were in processing. We hadn't even been put in our unit yet. And once everyone figured it out, then, so the gear kind of shifted.
So now that stuff come about, 9/11, you getting ready to go into boot camp. I know that had to have some mental to mess with you mentally a little bit. Now I got to get ready to go to war, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah. Basically, that's where the drill instructors came in. They're like, y'all are going,
You're going.
So yeah, they're like, you're gonna get done, you're gonna get your job, and you're going to war. So
whoa. Now I remember my father was in the Navy, and right around he got into the military right around Vietnam, and to them they was like kind of eager to go, like, hey, I'm like, I was looking when he's telling me a story, like, man, Dad, you was just really ready to go to war. Like, he said, I don't know, it was just a thing at that time, 18, 19 years old. Was you kind of feeling that way?
Yeah, I mean,
well, not nervous about it, but just, hey, let's go see what's going on.
Yeah, so I graduated boot camp. I was actually a combat engineer, so I went to engineer school.
Okay.
Learned how to build stuff, learned how to blow it up, and then I got placed in my unit.
Okay.
And I was in my unit for a few months. And then the build-up started for 2003.
Okay.
So the assault, once we started the build-up, then we knew we were going.
We
So I mean, 9/11 happened, but it really wasn't until the build-up started when we were like, all right, now we're going. Now it's going to happen. So, but yeah, I think eager was a good word for it, because, we're 18, 19-year-old kids,
Now
the
word
ego's
about
going.
Death, right?
Yeah, we're like, all right,
Invincible.
we're going to go do something.
Right. That's kind of like,
so,
my man he was seeing the same way. And I guess, I look back at it, when you 18, 19, 20, you feel it, invincible anyway. So, hey, I already go fight a war, whatever you want to do. But I could definitely see, paying attention to you over these years, I could definitely see that, that you, because I see how you coach, that drive, that passion. I can see that translating to that. Now, we in the military, 9/11, you get the orders, doing all this. Did we hit the combat field? We shot some guns at some people. How did that work? I mean, because I don't know, I with war, I always wonder, like, what's the mindset of that? Like, how do you, because you're a young man at this time. I mean, bullets flying, all these things going on. I mean, I know wrestling could help with that, but where were you at mentally at this time?
I mean, like, so it was kind of crazy. So when Bush set the deadline, we were actually one of the closest American units to the border of Iraq. So we flew into Kuwait. We were stationed there for a few months. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but then the deadline hit. Whatever the parameters were to that, but they moved us up to the border. I think we were a mile off the border of Iraq, and that night, actually, I remember it clear as day, but they put us on post, so I went out on duty, and it was me and another buddy of mine, and they said, look, the deadline's set to hit here. And it literally was within seconds. After the deadline hit, Iraq just started launching missiles at us. Like, we were so close that they were going over our heads to the bases behind us, like miles and miles behind us. So they weren't launching them at us directly, but they were launching them.
Right.
And so we're just sitting there in our little bunker and just watching these missiles for hours just fly over our heads. And then the next morning, we loaded up, we packed up, we started the long convoy into Iraq. So I was actually one of the first Americans across the border. So there was like probably 1,000 vehicles, and we just started the assault into Iraq.
Wow.
So being part of that, that's something I can look back on and be like, I've done a lot of stuff in my life, my career, but you know what,
man, that's that there, man. We talk about championships, we talking about accomplishments in life, period, but that right there, to protect our country and be one of the first to go into a heavy combat zone like that, and to be young, man. I mean, wow, that's something that we don't talk about enough. Yeah. And again, I thank you. I didn't know that about you. I mean, I know you was in the military, but to be that young and doing that, I thank you, man. Because that's something here. Like we celebrate the LeBron Jameses of the world and everyone like that, but it's heroes like yourself, man, that we don't talk about. So again, to have you here and to share that, I appreciate that, man. And thank you so much for your time. Now, we talking missiles flying over the head, 19, 18 years old, 20, whatever it was. How did that play a part into your next phase?
So once I got back from Iraq, that was 2003. I went back to North Carolina where our base was, and I actually tried out for the All-Marine wrestling team.
Okay.
So I started on base in North Carolina. Then when tryouts came, I actually went up to Washington D.C. to Quantico, and I tried out for the team. It was all Greco-Roman wrestling, but I actually made the team. So my last 2 years in the Marine Corps.
Wait, Clark. Let's no. We can't speed past that right here. Went to Ohio. In Ohio, wrestling. Did you do any Greco or any of that? Just because I know, Ohio's known for, folk style wrestling being the best. So you just say, hey, I want to wrestle.
Yep.
I'm going to Washington. I'm gonna try out for the Greco team.
Yep.
And you made the dang on team.
Yep. So I made the team. So Northwest Ohio is not really known for Greco freestyle.
Right.
Northeast Ohio is over around Cleveland and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, no, I never wrestled a day of Greco in my life, day of freestyle in my life. I talked earlier about, I was kind of burned out. Well, by time 2 years passed, I was like, man,
you got
now,
that itch. Yeah.
Now it's itching. I was like, all right, I got to get back to something, So, I tried out for the team, went to Quantico, made the team, spent my last 2 years just wrestling. So I went to the Olympic Training Center. We went to all the freestyle all the Greco tournaments for USAW, and I became a 2-time University All-American in Greco, and I got my first senior nationals All-American. So and I was wrestling people like Jamil Byers. One time I went to the Olympic Training Center. My practice partner was Rulon. Well, it really wasn't a partner. It was more Rulon just playing toss Travis around. But I mean,
experience.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. So I was 21 years old at that time, and the people I met and the traveling and stuff. That's really where because my original plan was to get out of the Marine Corps, go to Ohio State, walk on the football team, get back to what I was originally doing.
Right.
Once I made the wrestling team, I was like, all right, this is what I was meant to do.
That's what you meant to do.
So I kind of stopped with the football. I did end up playing a year of football in college, but that was more business related. But, all my focus was wrestling from there on out.
Okay. And now when you got back from the military, we get into school. We at University of Findlay, right?
Findlay, yep.
Okay. And we wrestled there. Now, after college, what is Travis Clark at now mentally?
Mentally, I'm just ready to earn that, all-American status, So I went home, like I could have, I thought about going to the USOEC in Northern Michigan and staying with the Greco, but, I wanted to be a NCAA national champ. Like that was my goal. So I had my military money through for college through the military, but, Finley gave me a full ride.
Whoa.
So I went to school on a full ride between athletics and academics, and then I had the military money on top of that.
Gotcha.
So I was living good.
You knew about NIL.
I was going to say I had a whole situation.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't think enough kids really understand it's more than one route. We wrestle. We think it's D1 or nothing. Parents D1 or nothing.
I am pro D2.
Man, my son went D2. He graduated a little young. He was getting recruited by all D1s, but, we had a good situation for him at Maryville, and it wasn't about wrestling. Because after 10 years, who knows you anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, do what you can, and you still could accomplish great
all
things.
All about those opportunities.
Right. So again, so everyone here is out here. It's more to it than just D1, End up doing great things with the sport of wrestling. You don't have to take that route. So again, you living very well. Things are going good, young man. We finished college. We going. What are we doing now at this point?
Yeah. So through college, I ended up with 3 college degrees in 4 years.
Whoa.
Because I think that's the difference. If I would have went straight out of high school to college, young, dumb, the whole teenage, who knows what would have happened if I would take my football scholarships. But coming back, I've been to war, I was mature, so, I'd walk in and it's like, all right, you're paying for my college, I'm taking these courses, and the first 3 years I wrestled only, got my bachelor's in criminal justice, worked on sociology, worked on a computer science degree, and then I graduated early, and I didn't realize that when you graduate early, you lost your financial aid.
Right. Okay.
So that's how football played in.
Got you.
So I had a year of eligibility left for wrestling, and I was like, man, I want that fourth year, So I actually started my post-bachelor's program in education. So I got my master's in education and an undergrad in education, but I needed more money because I went to a private school. So the wrestling team's like, hey, we'll up your scholarship, but we can only do it to here. And the football team's like, all right.
So we wanted you anyway.
Yeah. So at 27 years old, I was student teaching. I was going for my master's. I was doing an undergrad, and I was wrestling at 27 years old with these young 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, But my whole thing was, you know what? I'm going to take those opportunities. I think that's what this whole thing's about, the opportunities put in front of you. And, like they actually made a rule about me after that, because the first summer, the rule for the football team was if you stay, we'll pay for any college you take.
Okay.
Cool. I took 30 hours of my master's. That bill was ridiculous. And the football coaches kind of looked at me because they're used to 18, 19-year-old kids. Okay, 3 credit hours. No, I took 30. Whoa. Took 10 classes that summer.
So you milked it.
Oh, yeah. Every penny I could get. I was just like, but I did a master's in three semesters, I think. Wow. So I was rocking and rolling. I was just trying to get out of there.
Right.
And, but I got all those degrees for less than $2,000 out of pocket. And so when I talk to my athletes, that's what it's about. I got 20 kids wrestling in college right now, and it's always those conversations. I'm having a talk with a girl right now. She's transferring, and it's about trying to make sure the money lines up. And it's there, but you got to think about it. You got to make the right choice for you. Right. And at that time, I was like, man, I don't want to play football, but they're paying for it.
Right. That's become the business.
Yeah. So I was student teaching and coaching and doing this and doing that. But yeah, so, when I left college, I was a 2-time NCAA All-American. And, I actually got accepted into the FBI to start the NDOC process.
Okay.
And, at the same time, I got recruited so we had a job fair at my university, and they brought in all these school districts from around the country. And I did 21 job interviews for the job fair in one day, and I got offered 19 positions around the country.
I'm quite sure with the military background.
And that's what it was. I was male, I taught math, and I had a military background, and I coached.
So, any district, man, this guy here, I got a good friend, Warren Smith. He didn't go to the military, but he's a military child. And these, it's like a big thing to have a male, coming in teaching. I didn't know.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very I can't remember the percentage, but there's a small percentage of males in teaching anymore.
And it's so valuable now when how society is now. A lot of single mothers, busting their butt trying to, jump over in that dad's role. Yep. But then you have someone like yourself, a Travis Clark, a Warren Smith, that kind of balance it out. Let mom be mom and, hey, take that father role. So that I could definitely see how this stuff is going now. So you take all these job offers in Ohio at Findlay. So that's how we get to Texas, basically.
That's how I got to Texas. So it's Fort Worth ISD was one of the offers. So I actually went to Houston first.
Okay.
So that year, my senior year, that's where the national championships was.
Okay.
So I ended up taking 8th that year in the national championships. Okay. I beat the national champ 3 times.
Whoa, that same year?
Well, no, throughout
the career.
Yeah,
Okay.
Throughout my career, I was 3-0 against the national champ. But playing football, student team, I was just done. I was 27 years old.
Right.
I was like, man, I'm an old man with these young kids. I'm like, I don't care. Just you know what? I'm on the podium. I don't care. So I ended up 8th that year. I took 4th as a sophomore.
Okay.
Junior year, we don't talk about. So I went to Houston for the nationals, and I didn't like it. It was a lot of humidity. It wasn't for me. And Galena Park ISD was one of the school districts. So I flew down there. They flew me down, me and a bunch of others, and we did all the little like smaller interviews around town. And I was like, man, it's not for me. And a buddy of mine actually had family here, and we came to Fort Worth to visit family that same year.
Okay.
So I was like, man, it's not bad.
Not bad.
So I flew in when Fort Worth ISD offered me a job, and I did a bunch of interviews. And I actually started out with 7th grade. So I taught 7th grade math.
Okay.
Coached 7th grade football, 8th grade football. I was the assistant at the high school level, and I started the wrestling program at Dunbar High School. So east side of Fort Worth.
That's kind of in the hood, though, Travis, man.
It was definitely a culture shock when I got down here. But, I've been doing this 16 years, and that's still my favorite position.
Wow. I'm quite sure you inspired and changed some lives there, man, being a male.
I love that community. I love the culture there. I love the kids I interacted with, the parents. That is still my favorite position out there on the east side of Fort Worth. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. I know they missing you right now, but I can definitely understand. So now we do the Dunbar thing. Now we were dealing with football. Not touching wrestling over there yet, right?
Well, so my first year I started. So there.
You did say you started wrestling the first program there. Okay.
So there was a shop teacher, automotives.
Okay.
He started the ball before I even moved down here.
Gotcha.
So he wasn't a wrestling coach, but he saw the importance of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So he started doing all the leg work, and then when I came in and I met him, he's like, "All right, you're the coach." So I started the program, and we averaged about 10 to 15 kids a year for those first 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But after 3 years, I knew that I needed to do something else.
Okay.
Well, originally I was trying to go to the high school level. So I was teaching 7th grade math. I was like, it's hard not being in the high school. So I tried to go up to the high school, to Dunbar. So I wasn't looking to leave Dunbar. I just wanted to go up to the high school. The cards didn't lay out that way. So, and there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of politics, So I was like, man, and I got offered the job at Plano, to go over to Plano and lead that program. Mm-hmm. And same time, I got offered the job at Pascal.
Okay.
So downtown.
That's in Fort Worth,
yeah,
too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's downtown there by TCU and everything. And I didn't want to go to Dallas. Small town boy, Fort Worth's more my speed.
Right, gotcha.
I really like Fort Worth. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Pascal. Mm-hmm. So I went to Pascal for 2 years, and that's actually where I started coaching girls. Okay. So at Dunbar, I never coached girls. So the first 3 years, it was all male. Went to Pascal, started coaching girls. So it was year 4. So I was at Pascal year 4 and 5. Averaged about 90 kids on my team.
Whoa.
So we had a bunch of kids. And that's really where the journey of coaching girls started.
Okay.
Was there for 2 years. The head coach at Trinity, where I'm at now, he was watching me my whole time. Those first 5 years, because old school Oklahoma wrestler from diapers
and
on
what's
up.
The coach name?
Kelsey Lyons.
Kelsey
Lyons. And on paper, I ended up being his boss, but. You know what? Personally, he was my mentor. He was the one that made sure that I shaped into what I am now. So.
Wow. I definitely know Mr. Lyons. I first got here to Texas is crazy, too, because he was the first one to help me as well. I don't know if you know that.
Great guy.
So I'm here in Bedford, Texas, right? I see really no wrestling around. Not too much. Then no youth program, really. So it was the Bedford Boys Ranch. They say, well, hey, we got a old library. And if you can find the mats, you go ahead and get going. So I go to Mr. Lyons, Coach Lyons, and say, hey, Coach, I'm new around here, man. Give him my backdrop. And he said, oh, okay, I just got some brand new mats. Wait a minute, brand new mats. So the man let us use his brand new mats to start this thing off. He said, now when the season start, I'm going to need them back. But, of course, this man let us use the mats, and Donny Whitted was started from there. So it's crazy
one of the nicest guys you ever meet.
I mean, great guy. Humble. Always smiling. And would come in and work. Yeah, great. Definitely. I have to shout out to Coach Lyons, man. Great guy.
So for 5 years he was watching me, and he knew he was coming to his end.
Okay.
So when I was looking to leave Pascal, because I love the kids at Fort Worth ISD, but I knew I was never going to win a state title there, so that was a hard pill to swallow, and I have that talk with my young coaches now, the ones I mentor. It's like, you got to figure out what kind of coach you want to be. Like, we're going to do great things no matter where we go, but what level of coach do you want to be? And I knew I wanted to be a state championship coach. So, for as much as I love Fort Worth ISD and how good they were to me, I knew I had to move on. So Coach Lyon's like, hey, you're going to come to Trinity. So, so I interviewed for the job. He got me the job. I came in, and he's still teaching there.
Right.
And for the first year, the first year I was there, he kind of stepped down. He didn't do anything. And then the assistant coach I had was a football coach. And I'm very adamant. By that time, I was really starting to okay, I'm a coach. I'm doing this. So basically, I kind of pushed the football coach out. And then the district allowed Kelsey to come back as my assistant.
Okay.
So him coming back as my assistant was the best thing that ever happened in my program. And what a lot of people don't know is that he was anti-women's wrestling at first.
Oh man!
At first, and then I grew,
old school guy,
and then I grew the program, and I started shifting towards the girls, and then those girls wrapped him around their little fingers. So, we coached together for about 6-7 years, and that's why I said, even though I was the head coach, he was my mentor. Like he's the one that kind of shaped me into the coach I am today. But we did great things. I think his old school, my mix of old school, new school wrestling, it really helped, and we went on to win 2 state dual titles, a state title. We're state runner up twice. I've put, right now to date, we have 89 All-Americans in the last 10 years. We have 22 state placers. I think I have 37 kids who signed letters of intent to wrestle in college in the last 10 years. So, and a lot of that has to do with just the time we put in together.
Oh, no, I definitely been on the wrestling scene in Texas. I definitely see you come quick. I ain't noticed you because, I'm on the youth side, so I didn't notice you too much, at Fort Worth, but man, did you make some noise when you came to Trinity, man.
Opened the doors.
Yeah, I started seeing you around this big dude with this beard. These girls kicking butt. I'm like, whoa. Then I met you and had some conversations with you, man, and it's always been good stuff, man. So now, basically, to me, girls wrestling this was the Mecca in the beginning.
Correct.
Texas was the Mecca of girls wrestling.
One of the first to sanction it.
Right, to sanction it, right? Putting out some really tough girls. You had your Alex Lyles, your Jasmine Robinsons, who was the forehead, but it was you guys over at Trinity. Weren't you guys nationally ranked?
Yeah, so the year 2020, when we won state, we climbed all the way up to number, I can't remember exactly, maybe 4 in the country.
Wow.
But when I got to Trinity is when I got involved with the national team. So, I coached the boys national team as an assistant coach for a few years, but then I ended up becoming the head coach of the girls team and the director of the girls team, so but yeah, what we just took and ran with it, and the names that I've been fortunate to coach through the years, and these girls have walked through the doors. Like, I talked about 89 All-Americans in the last 10 years, but what a lot of people don't know, 83 of them are female.
Wow.
So
right. Like I said, you definitely spearheaded the drive of the girls' dominance in Texas. I could definitely say that. Now, when you touched on a little bit just a second ago about the national team, the director, what type of accomplishments did you have, being the director of Texas national team?
So, what we talked about when I went to Trinity, that's when my career kind of started. Okay. So, I spent 5 years in Fort Worth. I call that my figuring it out stage.
Gotcha.
I was like, all right, now I'm a coach. I'm not an athlete, because I did a lot as an athlete too, but now I'm going to figure it out as a coach. So I started the All-American Wrestling Club in 2015, got involved in the national team, and then, once I got involved with the girls' national team, Kara Brooks was the director.
Yeah.
My first 2 years with her, we won a national title, a freestyle national title.
Wow.
And then when she stepped down, I took over as director, and then we won 2 more folk style national titles there. But, I think we averaged anywhere from 10 to 15 All-Americans at Fargo every year, and then my club program, we won a couple freestyle state titles that way. But, like everyone always asks how I ended up with girls, and I really don't have an answer for them.
it just snowballed.
Yeah, I say it just kind of comes,
I mean, when you're doing what you're doing, all it takes is a couple. You do good with a couple, and then parents going to see, hey, that's where I need to be. And like I said, I mean, I had to train a few girls. Alyssa Moreno was one of them, which was a product of yours. And, I mean, it was nothing when I got her. She was already, foundation. You would put the foundation with her. And the parents, Alyssa's parents were very involved. And they spoke so highly of you, Clark. Like, I mean, I think it's, to me, on the outside looking in, and coming from a coach's perspective as well, it's more than the X's and O's. It's more than the X's and O's. You touch parents, you touch kids. To get those accolades, it has to be more than the X's and O's. How do you, this is what I want to know too as a coach, how do you finagle that? Like, because I see the parents gravitate to you. I mean, I'm around. All-American, you can't see none but them black and yellow singlets all around now. I mean, and I see the culture of your youth program, the culture of Trinity. What do you do, man? I mean, because I know, like I said, as a coach, dealing with parents is kind of rough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do you do that, man?
So it's 2 different worlds. Like, I mean, the high school world, the club world. Mm-hmm. It's like high school, like, it's just something they do.
Okay.
Club, I'm choosing to do this.
Makes sense.
So it's just like, but when it comes to dealing with people, I'm just real. Okay. Like, like I don't sugarcoat nothing. I don't tiptoe around nothing. Like, it is what it is. And I think that's what the sport of wrestling is. The sport of wrestling's a grind, you know? And I tell the kids all the time, it's like, look, wrestling sucks. But we choose this lifestyle. We choose to embrace it. Like, and that's what's going to make us more successful later in life. That's the lessons we learn in this room and on these mats is what's going to make us better. And I'm like that with the parents. Like, treat people good and good things happen. Like, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like, people see me in public, and they see big, bearded, tatted, always looks mean, mad. That's not me. Like, if you have a conversation, and that's the thing. Like, I'll have a conversation with anyone, and that's the thing. Treat people right, show them the opportunities, pick them up when they fall, and that's what it is. It's like, it don't have to be as serious as people make it. Right. Yes, I'm a very serious guy, but I also understand that, the kids are going to stumble, the kids are going to fall. Cool, it's my job to pick them back up. It's my job to like, hey, it's time to move forward. So I think that's what it is. Just be real with people. Be nice. Be friendly.
I mean, you like I said, man. The parents I'm around, that's from your club or come in contact with or know, they all love you. So it's definitely something that you're doing, and that's just like you say, being real. Because again, sometimes as coaches, I know you do try to tiptoe, not offend, and it don't never pan out right. It still never pan out right. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna take the mental note of that and just being, just real. Just, hey, this is what it is. This is what we need to do, and this is how it has to be done. So thank you on that insight. Because again, I see how everyone gravitates to Coach Clark, you know what I mean? And on the outside looking in, that's what I admire about you, And now, national team, we ton of All-Americans at this time, doing well. What made you end that?
I didn't end that. The state of Texas ended that. So someone challenged me for the position. They got the position, so I stepped away and focused on my kids and my kids in the club. And, what's crazy, the year after that happened, my club alone put 6 girls in the state finals. The club did. 6 girls in state finals, and if I remember correctly, 2 of them won state titles. So it's just, maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Maybe I was spreading myself a little too thin. Okay. But, once I stepped away, I just focused on those around me. And that's kind of where I shifted gears mentally. It's just like, okay, I'm spending so much time helping everybody, but I need to help mine.
Got
And that's the thing. So I focused on the people that came through that door, and I say it all the time to my young coaches. I'm like, look, kids are going to come and go. Parents are going to come and go. All you can do is focus on the ones that are there at that time.
Right.
Like you can't take it personally when they don't stay with you. I had conversations the other day with a coach where, they had a young lady that left me and she's not doing as well right now, and it's just like,
well, I definitely, you speaking to the choir on that, because again, I think parents look at like, hey, it's something else. You know what I mean? But really it's not.
Always looking for the next best thing.
Yeah, always looking for the next best thing instead of staying consistent. So, but you also, outside of coaching, you also had some success, because I always seen you overseas and
I'm always doing something.
Yeah, so what else was Travis Clark doing? Jiu-jitsu? Because you said earlier you got into jiu-jitsu once you got here to Texas.
Correct. So
how did that come about?
So I moved down here. So I was 28, I think, when I got to Texas, and I think I was bored. And that's the thing about being a wrestler, like that competitor's in you.
Never
It
leaves.
never leaves. And I'm 42 now, and like this past year, I've competed more than I have probably since I was in my mid-20s.
Oh, so you still competing?
I'm still competing. I just won my 10th world title in jiu-jitsu.
Hey, well, let's stop there. Let's stop there, man, because my wife watches this stuff, and she gonna say, "Why you ain't out there rolling around?" I mean, but again, you 40 plus years old, and you still competing,
Still doing it
on a high level as well.
So the biggest thing is, like, I preach a lot of things as a coach, and I think the biggest thing I have going for me is I lead by example as far as being an athlete.
Gotcha.
I'm still training. I'm still putting in the work. I mean, single, no kids. I kind of have more time than most.
Right.
But I mean, I just, I love that grind. We talked about it. The grind is what makes the person.
Right.
And, I've put girls on all levels. And the thing is, when they see me doing it, they can't say, well, I can't do it. No, you can do it. Look at me.
You look at you, right.
So I made my third Team USA this year.
Wow, congratulations.
And I went to Kazakhstan, and out of over 2,000 grapplers, I was the only one that did all 4 tournaments. So I did both Masters tournaments for my age bracket, and then I did the senior level tournament. So like the kid I had to beat to get on the podium was a 21-year-old Iranian.
Wow.
I'm 42, but I did 4 tournaments this past year where I had to go against like mid-20-year-olds, early to mid-20, and just the fact that I'm blessed to be out there and still competing with these young kids that are 20 years younger than me, and but it shows my kids. It shows my kids like, wow, coach is doing that, so I can do that.
Makes it a little bit easier.
And that's the thing. Like, the whole thing about me coming here today was about, promoting the opportunities, promoting, women's wrestling. Like, there's opportunities out there, but you got to put in the work. And I think in today's world, that's where it gets mistaken a lot. People want that handout. So us as educators, it's important for us to show, like, no one's going to give it to you. Like,
it's life.
You're gonna have to work, and some people are gonna get it faster than others. But that's okay. But I got a poster in my office that has a lot of my girls through the years, and it has them at a low point in their career, whatever it may be. And then it has them in a high point. So left side low point, right side high point. And I put it up there because I actually had it made for my college job. So I actually accepted a college job a few years ago, and I backed out of it. But it says nobody remembers the person who's fallen, but everybody remembers the person that got back up.
Wow.
So no matter what talk I'm having, whether it's academic, personal, athletic, like, all I do is point to that poster. So whatever kid I'm talking to at that time, I just point to that poster, like, it's okay to fall. It's okay to fail, but we get back up.
I go over to one of my parents' houses. Brittany, you know her. She has the garage, Matic garage, and she had certain posters up. You know what I mean? And there's one with Michael Jordan kind of always stuck with me, and says, I can't remember the exact verbiage or the words, but what was stated in it was like, I missed so many shots, you know what I mean? But I hit this many. It still don't come compared close to
Yep.
the shots that I miss. But we call him the greatest.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that kind of
You gotta fail to succeed.
You gotta fail to succeed.
Yeah,
and that's
so-
basically what they're saying. And I look at it like, so like I said, that stuck with me more, and I started to really coach on that to understand, like, look, we gonna fall, we gonna lose, we gonna do this, but how do we respond?
Exactly.
How do we respond? So you touched on that. That's awesome. So now we on the nationals. We're not doing that no more. We got the club thing going, and still coaching over at Trinity, putting out champions. Now, we had a big announcement this year. The NCAA is going to have women's championships.
Huge
How
announcement.
did you feel? You in particular, how did you feel about that?
I mean, it's huge. So I talked about earlier, I currently have 20 girls or 20 kids wrestling at the college level, but
Right.
I think 16 of them are girls. And they're spanned all throughout NAIA, D1, 2, 3, it's huge, because it's all about those opportunities. You
Like
know?
what you just talked about,
Yeah.
how your path.
Exactly. So, just the fact that they're now recognizing these young ladies and the work they put in, it's no different than the men, and
No, exactly.
so it should be treated as sort, So, it's now giving these ladies an opportunity to move into the next level and be appreciated for the work that they have, and that end goal.
Okay.
Hey, here's where you can get, because I mean, right now at the NCAA level, I think I have 10 girls. Wrestling D1, 2, and 3. I just went to a quad the other night up there at our Texas Women's University, and between the two teams, I had four former club girls wrestling
you
on the
serious?
two teams. So
Ain't too many coaches in the country can say
Yeah.
that, man.
So the fact, I've got a young lady right now that lives at the Olympic Training Center. She's training with Team USA. She just won her second Grand Prix in France, but she's
Wow.
actually wrestling for McKendree. So she's already won an NAIA national title, and this year she's going to go for that NCAA title.
Please say her name.
Kaylin Albrecht.
Kaylin Albrecht, yeah.
That child's a special one. She's destined for greatness. But it's not even as an athlete, just who she is as a person.
Right.
She's changing young ladies' lives. She comes home, she mentors them. Whenever I talk to mothers, fathers, kids, she's always the first one I say to follow. Follow her. She'll take the time out of her schedule just to talk to a young girl. Last year, I had a mother in Ohio reach out to me. Kid's 8 years old, 9 years old. Can't remember exactly, but basically she was at a club that was an all boys club,
Okay.
and the coach didn't want to coach her. And the girl's a stud. She's killing everything. She's always on my stories now, but somehow they knew Kaylin's mother, so they contacted Kaylin. Kaylin's like, "Oh no, you got to talk to my coach."
Right.
So the mother called me and I started blowing up the school board. I helped the mother fight this battle.
Okay.
But they're basically trying to close her off. And there's a coach up there saying, "I don't want my girls, seeing me coach young females." It was bad. And I talked to the mother when I was home, because the girl came to I just did a camp up in Ohio over Christmas. All girls camp, had 22 girls in Ohio show up for this camp.
Wow.
So it's growing in Ohio, because Ohio was a little bit behind the scenes, but so just that shows the kind of person Kaylin is. She took the time out of her training. I think she was training for the Olympic team trials at the time, to talk to this young girl and this mother and try to help them and everything.
Wow.
So
Man, that's awesome. Like I said, I mean, this is what Clark does. That's what I've been watching you and seeing you. You very helpful. And all the times we talked, it was always good stuff. So I could definitely see, your imprint on the Kaylin's life, and then that translates to her later on, doing what she's doing. Now, what do you see? Let's say we know the girls wrestling is getting there. Numbers are growing astronomically fast. Things are going great. But let's talk about the downside. What do you think girls wrestling needs right now to get that extra boost?
I was just talking to a coach about this yesterday. Coaches.
Coaches.
I mentioned earlier that I've entertained going to the college level.
Right. I remember when you accepted the job.
So
then I seen you.
Yeah. So I spent a year trying to go for a job. I got the job. I've been a finalist for many jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And after I accepted it, I just realized that it wasn't for me.
Gotcha.
But there's no coaches. Like all these programs coming out. Like so, one of the teams at that quad the other day, the head coach wrestled on the roster last year. So she's like a 21-year-old head coach, and I think that's where we're falling behind. Is these coaches aren't being mentored. These coaches aren't being shown the way.
Right.
Like right now, I got a 25 and a 26-year-old assistant coach at Trinity, and I'm trying to mentor them because I want to kick them out the door soon.
Right.
You're going to go be a head coach, and you're going to mentor your coaches. But out of all the finalist jobs that I was interviewing, they asked me about that. They asked me, like, how are you going to choose your assistant? I said, I'm going to choose a young female because I think there needs to be more females in the coaching world, especially when it comes to females. But I'm going to spend 3 to 5 years with them.
Right.
I'm going to mentor them. I'm going to show them how to run a program, how to run practice, how to do this, how to do that.
Right.
And then I'm going to move them on. I'm going to bring another young female in.
Right.
So I think we're falling behind. I did our NWCA coaches convention a few years ago, and, that was a big thing. One of the female coaches stood up and said we need to quit pushing male coaches out. I think that's a big thing right now is like they think females got to be trained by females. Females got to be trained by the best coach. Males got to be trained by the best coach. I've seen a lot of talented females coach males. It shouldn't matter whether you're male or female. It should matter who's going to get the job done, who is the best coach for that individual. But I think we need more coach mentorship, coach training, and we need to start, really educating our coaches. Because it's one thing to have a program, but a lot of programs are dying at the college level because they're bringing in young coaches, male or female, that aren't ready to be head coaches yet.
Makes sense.
And that's the thing. I talked about earlier about me going to the Marine Corps before going to college. I grew up. I matured. So when I went to college, I already, I knew what the end goal was.
Right.
So it's no different than the coaching world. Like, when you go into head coaching, the end goal needs to be the kids, the opportunities, trying to set them up. And, if they're still a kid themselves,
it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think that's what needs to be focused on is just really educating our coaches, really making sure they understand the behind the scenes stuff. Because a lot of young coaches want to get out there and grind with the kids. Well, that's not what a coach does.
Right. Exactly.
There's so much paperwork and behind the scenes and logistics and stuff. Like, that's what a head coach does. Like, the reason I've been successful is because I take these girls all over the country.
You do, right.
But there's a lot of legwork that goes behind taking these kids around the country. So,
that's why I got rid of my program, Whitted Training. It's just so easy. Because I just want to coach. Yeah. I don't want to do all of that. You know what I mean? The dealing with the parents, like you said, the logistics, the travel, and the kids I just didn't want to do that. I just want to show up, coach, and do what I need to do. So you absolutely right. That is something, that most, coaches don't think about, the backdrop and how nerve-wracking that is. And a program can fall if you haven't. Like I said, I was successful with Whitted Train, but I learned so much going over with Jerry Best with his program that I things that I didn't know. And if I wasn't with this guy, you know what I mean, I wouldn't know at all. So you hitting on some here today. You're talking because coaches, we probably need more coaches clinics. We a lot needs to be poured more into the coaches coming up. You're right, man.
That's kind of where I am in my career, where I want to coach coaches. Like, I want to go in there because with me having that military background, like, my program is very structured. Gotcha. Everything is structured. And, I just had a coach from Nashville reach out to me. I met him. But he's bringing me in this summer to help him Not his kid. I'm going to do a coach or a clinic for the kids, but he's like, hey, I'm bringing you out here to coach me.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to bring you in. I want you to show me how you run your stuff. You know, and he wants to come out here and watch that stuff because I've been honest through the years. Like structure and discipline is the reason I'm successful. It's not so much what I know or do. It's just when the kids know what their expectations are when they walk in the room, then they're more likely to meet those expectations.
It makes sense.
Well, when the room is chaos, like it's just the kids are going to be chaos. So, and that's how I train my young coaches. Like, look, here's how we're going to run things, and I think I've sent on 3 head coaches to other positions. So they started under me, and now they're head coaches somewhere else, But I think between focusing on growing women's wrestling, promoting women's wrestling, like I also want to focus on promoting coaching because we're losing a lot of talented coaches. We're like this year, the coaching world at the high school level, it's different. Like it's like, who are these coaches? Like, because all the veteran coaches are rotating out.
Right.
And like last year I got put in the Texas Hall of Fame for coaches, and it's just like,
oh, congratulations on that. I did hear about that.
Yeah. So like, but everyone's leaving the profession. So those opportunities are going to get smaller and smaller. Like, like I'll run club practices and I'll have coaches send me their kids. So instead of them having their kids in their practice, they're like, no, you're going to go to Coach Clark's club practice.
Right.
But that shows where we need to start investing in these other coaches. Right. Help them along the way.
I definitely, like I said, I definitely agree. I don't think I'm a bad coach as far as X's and O's. We had some success. But again, it was different getting over here with Jerry Best and learning how to run a program. Because again, people always ask me, you had a successful team, why would you just give it up? Because I couldn't do the logistics. Yeah. I couldn't run the program. So I probably needed Clark a couple years ago. But again, I definitely understand that. So I hope, some coaches that's watching this program, get out your feelings and get out your egos. Reach out to that coach that's been doing it to get that help. Because, again, we don't know. Everyone knows a double. Everyone knows a sweep single. But do you know how to run a program?
That's the big thing. Put it on paper.
Put it on
structure.
paper. Structure it, yeah.
No matter where I go or who I'm with, like people always ask about my curriculum. My curriculum came from hundreds of coaches. Right. Like, that's the thing. Everywhere I go, every coach I've had in my career, it doesn't matter. I've learned stuff from Kaylin. Kaylin comes back now because, she's living at the Olympic Training Center. I'm like, oh, I like that.
Right. You always learn as a coach.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, it's not Clark's curriculum. It's everybody's curriculum. Like, I picked and chosen from all these different people, like whether they're athletes or not. Like I said, I got 20 kids wrestling in college. Well, over the summer, I have 15 girls in a room every day doing freestyle practice. But I learned from them because now I have them teach. They have their college coaches, and now I'm still learning and taking what I like from them. And that's the thing. Like you said a little bit ago, like get out of your ego. Like we're here to learn from each other, and that's the thing. Like take my stuff. Like I probably have 5 people a week reach out to me for stuff. Cool. I send them videos. I send them my curriculum. I'll share with anybody. And
that's what we do. I mean, I remember, the Harvey Twisters, and I don't think, the Twisters would have been successful if we didn't have 4 or 5 coaches that had their different niche. Some kids gravitated to this coach, some kids gravitated to this coach, and it was just, I think that's what made our team so good because we had so many different coaches, so many voices. And again, those guys go to college, they grow up, go to college, come back and do camps, and the coaches learn. And so I definitely can see how that tree grows. Now, to wrap it up here a little bit, where you see Clark in the next 5 years now?
So that's been the golden question this year. I love what I do. I love my coaching. Mm-hmm. We're in talks of opening a new gym. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, the whole nine. If we do that.
Wait a minute, Clark, you got one of the best gyms in the DFW.
It's not mine.
Oh, okay.
It's not mine. Like, and the thing is, let's give a shout out to All American MMA because, I've had a lot of girls through the years, but Rocky Boudry, he's the owner. Like, he opens those doors for those girls. Like,
shout out Rocky. Thank you,
exactly.
man.
Doesn't ask for anything in return. So yes, I've been successful, but it's because of his generosity that these girls can go there, they can have a safe space, they can just train and not worry about nothing. But basically we would make a second location.
Got you.
And that second location, I'd run that. So that's one option.
Okay.
I'm starting to think about maybe moving into athletic administration.
Okay.
Because again, like logistics, operational stuff, like I'm really good at that. So maybe move into that and keep the club thing going.
Okay.
So I'm definitely exploring options.
Okay.
I'm 10 years from an early retirement, so college ain't off the table yet. So so maybe I'll go coach or women's wrestling at the collegiate level.
Well, hey, you got Oklahoma State. They looking for coaches. I mean, all these universities about to be looking for coaches. So it's about to open up for you. Your resume is second to none. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing you in the Big Ten somewhere around there.
So basically, it's like I teach the kids, and like what we've been talking about all day is about those opportunities. I'm going to keep doing the jiu-jitsu thing. I'm going to keep doing all the club stuff and everything. Like we have a bunch of hammers at the youth level right now.
I'm seeing them, man. We was out at Austin, man. One of my kids was wrestling one of your kids, and man, I could see your imprint. Your kid was down, man. And he just kept coming. We were up, I think, like 3-0 with about 20 seconds left. Your kid pulled it out. You know what I mean? Things weren't going right for him, in the match. We were kind of, it was just 3-0 match. And we picked down going into the third. My kid don't get turned. But I'm thinking, hey, we getting away. But he just was a dog. Just kept coming. So I can see that's a testimony to what you're doing over there, man.
Well, and that's the thing. So, like, I don't do a lot of folk style youth stuff. So Matt Lupardis is our head folk style coach.
Shout out to Matt.
I was going to say, Matt coming to All-American was the best thing that ever happened to that gym as far as wrestling goes. Because all these years, we always knew we had the youth kids because, we've always had a big jiu-jitsu club. And I couldn't make it work with my high school responsibilities and stuff. Yeah. It's just like folk style youth and folk style high school. It's too much conflict. So Matt came over. Matt's a brown belt world champion in jiu-jitsu, but he's got 4 kids, and him taking on that thing a year ago. So he started the youth club a year ago in wrestling, and he's grown it. And
he has. Y'all doing good.
I was going to say those kids are a real testament of what he's putting in. He's putting in his hard work. Texas State champ. So Matt's been down the road himself, but I'll come back for freestyle season and we'll kind of run it together. But I think I'm going to take a bunch of 10, 11-year-old girls to women's nationals here in a few months. But some of the girls we have in that room are just
I
vicious.
know, man. I'm seeing them. You and Matt doing some great things over there, man. And I appreciate you guys. It was great having you in, Clark, man. Thank you for coming in. I hope this won't be your last time. So whatever coaching job, because I know they're going to come calling, man. You have a resume second to none when it comes to wrestling, especially with the girls. You have a good niche, not just a good niche, but I think you know how to push the buttons.
And that's the thing. And people always ask, like, the difference between boys and girls, and at the high school level, it's all maturity. Like the girls are hungry. The girls want to learn, and it's no special thing. Like these coaches who had trouble getting girls out, they always ask me, they're like, "How do you get your?" I don't know. They just show up. Like, they show up, but I think it's because I don't treat them differently. I mean, I'm probably harder on my girls than I am my boys, and that's the thing. Like, I make them see what those opportunities are. I make them, explore different options. We talked a lot about wrestling to the next level, but, what a lot of people don't know, I've sent over 30 kids to the military. And a lot of them have been female. Like this year alone, I think I'm getting about 4 females are joining the military and 4 males this year alone.
Wow.
So it's not always about college. Like, I mean, me going to the military is the best thing I ever did. At the time, I didn't know why I did it. But now, since I'm older and I look back and I reflect, like, it made me grow up. It made me mature. And every opportunity I've been blessed with, has been because of that one choice. That one day walking out of my cousin's house with the sandwich in my
With
hand.
the sandwich.
But the sandwich, like the only reason I was there was to raid his refrigerator, but that's how quick it turns.
Right. That's how life is. We seize those opportunities, and that change your life. I mean, so I definitely could see that, man, and I could really appreciate coming from, like I said, on the outside looking in, your work.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Your work is second to none on the girls' level. Period. Just not just girls' level, just period. I mean, I remember having a kid trained off them same mats that Coach Lyons, Harley Williamson, which is he's a college coach now.
I say now he's coaching in college. He came back. He coached a year of high school. Great kid. Great family and
great family. So, Matt. Yeah, great family. No, so I appreciate you, Clark, for coming in.
Yes, sir.
Off the mat with Donny Whitted again. Hopefully, this won't be the last time I get you in.
Well, I'm going to send a lot of my girls in here for you. So
okay, I appreciate that.
Session.
Yeah, we need that because again, we want to definitely promote the girls. So if we get Kaylin in and some of your others, Alyssa, some of the other ones, that'll be definitely great, man.
Yes, sir.
And again, thank you for coming out.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in. Off the Mat with Donny Whitted.